Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Okay. Hi, everyone. I am Professor Ng, currently teaching at the Bartlett School of Architecture, UCL. So today I will be discussing with you platform urbanism, residency planning towards hyper-personalization. The increasing growth in migration flow generate politics of spaces that augment urban tension. How can hyper-personalized communication through digital platforms help in relieving such tension? So this research defines the use of platform hyper-personalization, HP, as a realization based on the theories of control and communication that goes beyond an art of engineering to the much more profound notion of information feedback between a network of users and machines. Personalization platforms data control and data communication by developing data models and designing protocols for point-to-point exchanges. The rise of big data and machine learning (ML) accelerate this to a real-time recommendation through prediction, a hyper-personalisation (HP). Such strategies may help to balance between macro planning and micromanagement, where data input from a network of nodes can be used to train up models as datums and feedback information to end users. So this research defined 4 core principles. Time dependency and statistical approximation. Norbert Wiener, the father of cybernetics, emphasized on the use of prediction with data control and communication. If the information entropy internal to some system is minimized, then it can more accurately predict future evolution of the system and act upon its external environments. Such statistical understanding of communication theories being deployed today within most large-scale information systems to extract the most utility out of sensory signals. Peer-to-peer human-machine interaction. So Wiener in 1956 theorized how information is subject to dissipation, just as how entropy is defined in the second law of thermodynamics, that it would be naive for any system to think that information can be contained. He criticized that information in the market is like the white breads in our bakeries, being made for its keeping and selling properties instead of its true food value. So it is perhaps more useful to study information feedback dynamics and extract utility for the value information brings to our society than to create information only for its safekeeping. Variety and aggregation. A piece of information, in order to contribute to the general information of the community, must say something substantially different from the community's previous common stock of information. So here, Wiener mapped this literary relationship between an individual and its community through information aggregation, where value is created in its variety and discovery processes, which facilitate democracy in a work society. So this basically taps into how we may escape the personal condition of information for the need to establish commonwealths. Last but not least, index and reward feedback. Cybernetics takes the view that the structure of the machine or of the organism is an index of the performance that may be expected from it. So the presenting of information in terms of their optics is not simply a graphical design, but also of how information is indexed based on positive and negative feedback in a sensory network, which may enable platforms with a certain degree of influence on user decisions in adapting to fluctuation on users' demands preemptively. Nonetheless, with the increasing advancement of digital platforms also comes the increasing challenges where privatization of the platform economy is accelerated. So the question is both technical and social economical. Is it possible to balance between centralized and decentralized means of data sharing? What can public initiatives learn from private ones to develop platform strategies that maintain a commonwealth amongst the personal conditions of data organization? And how can it be utilized for residency planning that translate into our built environment? So first, hyper-personalization, HP, arises out of marketing demands as a means to recommend the most suited products to users in need, so as to augment sales operations, which can take forms of machine learning or market automation. So this research is especially interested in the application of the following data organization techniques, 3 of which has potential in securing privacy during large-scale data sharing. First is fuzzy match, which may help to address the problem of matching data from different databases where the actual data doesn't have to be disclosed, partitioning databases without sacrificing communications. Second is classifier, which are often used where feature prediction applies to live data with arbitrary complex ML models that are used for feature extractors, over which simpler models can be trained with new datasets. So this can approximate the performance of training the entire complex model, enabling decentralized learning networks like federated learning, where personal data need not be synchronized to a central cloud and remains on the edge device. Third is data deletion. So after we train some machine learning models, data can be erased to prevent further operations on personal data. So this basically echoes with the European Union's right to be forgotten regulation, but there are great challenges in efficiently deleting individual data points from machine learning models where a time-dependent approximation can be used. So the other three techniques use hyper-personalization to sustain long-term conversational relationship with users and have great significance in establishing commonwealths. For instance, social housing is more than simply delivering a building design, but socializing a community to form around the initiative. So residency planning should also emphasize communication between the initiative, the foreign, and the local residents, so as to build up local social economic capacity. So in face of this problem, this research studied three more of machine learning techniques. First is sequence-aware recommenders. Second is database segmentation and lead generation. Third is lead nurturing and scoring, such as key opinion leaders that we see a lot on social media platforms. These strategies may help in delivering statistical zoning and housing for co-residency, translating HP techniques into the built environment. So one proposal is the use of HP to matchmake not personal data, but disciplinary data in delivering hybrid solutions. Taking Hong Kong as an example, this research proposed to personalize housing types of temporary with disciplinary, constituting a transitional co-residency housing. So transitional housing is a scheme that partners with NGOs to provision short-term accommodation to help vulnerable individuals transition into longer-term housing. Due to limited availability of land, the modular social housing initiative fully utilized each square meter for individual apartments, partitioning inhabitants' social communication. In architectural design, often we think of public spaces as platforms that facilitate social communication, but vice versa. Communication can itself be a platform that facilitates public spaces. So the nurturing of commonwealths and lead generation, building communities of common interest may relieve challenges in the integration of residents into the district society. This is where the rising trend of co-residency forming around STEAM education, think tank, and hackathons may be a great opportunity to integrate transitional cultural hubs within urban fabric. Personalization may help in transitioning the roles of housing applicants as passive citizens receiving help to active participants in the housing society. Transitional co-residency housing can be labeled with keywords from disciplinary to social. For instance, housing A with hashtag multicultural, STEAM, and cross-generational, housing B, local, freelance, hackathon, and so on. So these keyword strategies are the most common form of database segmentation representing communal interest and social services that users not only receive, but also have to contribute to their chosen community, building up self-organizational capacities in each residency housing. So marketing automation techniques that we've mentioned before, like lead generation, nurturing, and scoring, helps to ensure long-term conversational relationship between the public initiatives and the inhabitants, delivering social housing not merely as a building, but also services that form decentralized institutions within a community to engage in problems together, from building maintenance to knowledge exchange. With such knowledge-based information, channeling the personal condition of data to disciplinary avenues, transitional co-housing strategies can be scaled up to urban zoning for the building of multimodal, multicultural, and multidisciplinary hubs within urban fabrics. Furthermore, this research proposed coupling ideas like time hubs using personalization techniques to matchmake between virtual and physical residency across time regions, discussed their material manifestation, forming purposive systems that focus not only on how physical spaces can facilitate events, but how virtual events facilitate spaces of the commons. If you're interested in more, please feel free to get in touch via Instagram at provides.ism. So last but not least, just a few points to take away from the paper, which discuss platform solutions and hyper-personalization techniques that utilize machine learning and real-time data as a means to transform residency planning and prompt socio-economic changes in urban developments. It learned from cybernetic theories to infer core principles of platform solutions and denoted the existing limitations in urban residency, where public and private systems lack the necessary connectivity to bridge between macro planning and micromanagement. It then proposed ways in which hyper-personalization can be utilized for residency planning, taking inspiration from knowledge and educational-based residency. Afterwards, this paper explored how the virtual and the physical may share the load of work between one another, and means by which a statistical relationship between entities can be translated into the built environment, including statistical zoning and co-housing. Finally, it concludes by reviewing how the proposed strategy may help to reform ways in which we affiliate ourselves with cities, not merely as places, but also as services. Thank you so much for your attention. I think I managed to stay
Yes, you did.
just in time.
Yes, that was very good and very efficient. Thank you, Provides.
Thank you.
It was very interesting. I'm sure we have lots of questions.